Hello everyone, this is Riccardo Masini and this is vlog. And this vlog is about Gettysburg, A Time for Heroes by Yves and the Loakes. Also, I see on BGG Valentin Crespel. This game is a game that comes in a series initiated by Maurice Suckling, my dear friend Maurice Suckling, with the Freeman's Farm, and then with a very nice, very interesting game, Chancellorsville 1863. Now we are at Gettysburg. The series is carried on by Yves and friends. Yves is also the designer for Keep 'em Rolling to Rhyme. So he is a designer that is accustomed to make hybrid wargames, light wargames, with these kind of components that really look like an Eurogame, but it is not. It is a wargame. Why? Because we have a map, we have units, we have dice resolving combat, we have cohesion, etc., etc. The system derives from the great design by the Finnish publisher UMP that was W1815, about the Battle of Waterloo. And the main idea is that you have these blocks that represent units, and you have areas, and you have fixed maneuvers between those areas. So you move your blocks and you see what happens. However, much has changed after W1815, because this system introduces cards. That is, you have a set of activation cards in your hand, with which you can activate single formation. Of course, this being Gettysburg, this deck grows turn after turn with the growing of the battle, and you can activate, you have a major activation, a minor activation. A major is a double activation, minor activation, a single activation. You get momentum cubes for reroll, and you get also tactics cards that you can buy through with momentum cubes, and so on and so on. Every single unit has its own cohesion. Every time you activate a unit, this unit loses cohesion, even just to march and fight. But of course, the unit loses cohesion mainly through losses in combat. Combat is made by a simple dice roll with the set combinations. With some combinations, some events happen, people have to retreat, lose cohesion, or you gain even other momentum, etc. You can reroll those dice by losing cohesion or additional cohesion, or by spending momentum. Then you can also build redubs, so you can transfer cohesion points from one formation to the other, and that is hidden with a fog of war system. So you don't really know how many guys on the other side you have ahead. You can have traffic jams, because with two formations, allocation becomes impassable. So this is not a good idea. And other small stuff. Interesting thing is that you can win in two ways, either by, if you are the Confederate, by destroying three Union formations. A formation is destroyed when it fails a cohesion test, when it is a very low value that must make a cohesion check, a cohesion test every time it activates, or when it reaches 0. When the Confederate destroys 3 Union formation, or the Unionist destroys 4 Confederate formations, then you have an instant victory. Or when the Confederate gains control of these yellow labeled areas. Yes, that is the Fishhook, of course, and Gettysburg. But with every single day, the victory point thresholds increases. So it is harder and harder for the Confederate player to win. The flow play is very simple. You play an activation card, you gain momentum for that activation card, you make your activation, you do stuff around, you do movement and combat. Or on the map, there are these arrows have different colors, because combat is easier or harder from one location to another depending on the terrain features. They are included in the map, and also after that you can purchase the static card, but it is a tableau, so the last card this tends to roll up like a rolling label. So you will lose if you want to buy a certain tactic card. You have to spend momentum cubes, but in that moment, because either the other player buys it before you, purchases before you, or that card disappears. So you have also a catch the moment feeling to it. And then after all this, the other guy's activity, your opponent turn, and he or she makes the relative activations. And this is the game, essentially. It's a very simple game. Absolutely streamlined. This system is very mature, is absolutely solidified, so it really works. Chancellorsville also had a double blind section that was great for the hidden maneuvers, especially by the Confederate around the Union positions. There is not one here. Why? Because this is Gettysburg, so the two armies essentially bumped into one another, and so, but the great feature of this battle is that every time you get people coming from different points. So the Confederate will go here, but maybe the Union player will play General Buford, so they will be slowed down, so that the Union forces will rush here to get this point, but the Confederate will come also from this direction with Rhodes and Early and others and other formations, and so on and so on. Of course, at the end, you will end up fighting here, because this is the only decent and very good defensive position, the famous fishhook, of course, covering the Baltimore Pike. This is another victory point, very, very important. But at that point of the play, you will have to manage the tactic cards, the attacks, the use of momentum cubes, the reinforcements. You'll have to manage a lot of stuff, even if you end up fighting always in this area on the map. Every time it will be different. As you may guess, I really love this system and this game in the system in particular, because this is a game that really uses hidden complexity to its best. It looks simple, very, very simple, very, very easy, but it has a lot of simulation value, a lot of historical detail inside included. You won't manage it, because your point of view is that of the commander-in-chief of those armies when you arrive, of course, because there is a special activation, but both Lee and Meade can use that activation only later, because historically they arrived later on the field, and so you are shut off of many smaller tactical decisions. You give only general directives, but it is very good, it is very historical. You cannot do what you want as the commander-in-chief in that day, and in general on a field of battle cannot do whatever they want, so you have to make do with what you have. You have to manage friction and unforeseen events, or you have to create unforeseen events for your opponent during other challenges. So it is very tense, it is very dramatic, and also this with a fantastic components, a very good interface, very intuitive. So it is a great game. It is also a great game for introduce people to the idea of playing with history, because it is nice looking, it is easy, but it is also very good on historical point of view, because you won't have so many choices. You won't have the usual analysis paralysis of X and counter games where you have a gazillion of possible moves every turn. Here you will have, do I withdraw or should I make my stand here? Should I continue marching in this position or should I attack now? Because if I march, yes, I will front him, but then there will be more Union soldiers and maybe I won't have the time to attack Gettysburg. So now I attack Gettysburg, but by doing so, I'm not advancing here. And so on, and so on, and so on, and so on. Also, you have to manage the unpredictability of the combat system, of the very dramatic combat system. It really works very well. in all these you have some great points. The entry points can be somewhat manipulated. Some units you may decide where to having them. Also the succession of the card is historically calibrated, but it will be there will be a lot of small differences in every gaming session of this game, in every play session, but even those slight differences will make an entirely different experience. So it is this case where a small detail, small change here will make a great difference, maybe 2 times later. Yeah, I love this game. Okay, and this is very good. I really like the system. There is another one coming that is Brandywine, still by Yves and the team, and I really am very eager to try it because I love American War Independence. Brandywine is a very interesting battle, but this system can be adapted for a lot of battles, and it is nice looking. It is simple. It is very good to introduce people to the hobby. Also, it lasts just couple of hours at the maximum, 3 hours at most. It is also highly dramatic with this victory point threshold that increases for the Confederate, where at the end the Confederate players say, okay, let's throw on Pickett and let's see if the Pickett's charge can make it this time. Yeah, it is that kind of game. I really like it. I have many games about Gettysburg in my collection. This is easily one of the best, even comparing it to a much heavier games that I really like, but I consider this one of the best. Surely it is ideal to get someone to understand Gettysburg battle and in general playing a battle on a war game with a single session game, even if that person has never played a war game. A very, very nice. Oh yeah, and there is also a solo boat if you want. It is quite solo friendly. Yes, there are the activation cards are hidden, but you can manage playing them open. But there is also a solo bot that also includes considerations for the psychology for the of the single subordinate characters. Commanders. Some will be more aggressive, some will be more cautious. So, as you see, lots of small details included here, and even deciding the order of activation or the intensity of activation of a single formation will make a lot of impact on the game. So, small details, but highly consequential decisions for a very tense and dramatic game. This is why, once again, I consider this one of the best games about Gettysburg in my own personal collection. A very nice title. Thank you, Worthington. Thank you to Maurice Suckling for having designed this series, and thanks to Yves and his friends for having designed this title. I really cannot wait to play the other titles in this series. This is Gettysburg, A Time for Heroes, a very nice game, highly recommended by me. And this is Riccardo Masini. Thank you for having stayed here. Have a good time, have fun, and as always, don't be scared. It's just war games. Ciao.